What's good, y'all? Just for Kicks 212 here, and I'm here with another sneaker review. Before I get started, I want to give a big shout out to the homie on Twitter, O__Chavez__O. Pretty much, if it wasn't for him, you guys wouldn't be getting this technical breakdown of the Air Jordan 12. He sent this like a couple months back, to be honest with you, and I just been slacking on it. But Air Jordan 12, I already took it apart if you can't tell from the video, but let's get this started. As you guys know, I don't do Jordans, like I don't wear them or whatever, not my thing. So pretty much, homie sent them to me. It's gonna be a technical review, so if you have any questions or comments or whatever, just leave it down in the comment box. I'll try to answer you as soon as possible. This is the 2003 version. Obviously, you can tell it's a little worn, but it's because he balled in it or whatever. The funny thing is, he said he couldn't find the other pair, which is cool because I only need one. So pretty much starting at the outsole of the shoe, obviously you see the herringbone traction, you see it in the forefoot, and you see it in the heel. What herringbone is, it's a multi-directional traction pattern. It's usually used traditionally in multi-directional sports like basketball. Obviously you see these cuts through the rubber. If you don't know, this is solid rubber. You see these cuts through the rubber right here, which exposes the shank that's underneath. I'll get into that in a second. What that is they cut that rubber out to reduce the weight of the outsole a little bit. A lot of you guys like, how much weight does that cut off? It cuts off a substantial amount of weight on the outsole that didn't need to be there, just because the actual arch is there and it doesn't actually touch the floor of this part of the shoe. Also towards the toe, you have the 23 logo, and you also have the Jumpman, which wraps up. Then you also have in the heel, which actually wraps up onto the back of the heel, the number 23. That's pretty much it for the outsole, guys. I'm gonna continue on to the shank plate. So pretty much the next component in this actual sneaker is the shank plate. It is under the midsole and right above the rubber outsole. If you don't know what a shank is, the shank is supposed to provide torsional rigidity, pretty much a fancy way of saying stopping twisting and turning motions, preventing the shoe from actually flexing in a way it's not traditionally supposed to. You get a lot of injuries just with the shoe flexing in the wrong place. So what a carbon fiber shank does is it actually prevents the shoe from flexing in that manner, just because it's so rigid and it's so no homo hard, I guess you would say. They're pretty good. They're made out of carbon. They're made out of TPU. You don't need a carbon shank to think you have the best shank. There's glass shanks that are better than carbon shanks. It just depends on the grade of carbon or glass or whatever they're using, TPU. Moving on to the midsole, obviously, again, like I said, the shank lies underneath the midfoot foam, which is Phylon. This is Phylon. Again, this is the shank. It's actually placed right here. It's right under the foot, as you guys can see, of the Phylon midsole. What Phylon is, it's pretty much Nike's version of Ava. They use their own little patented mix of Ava, which is ethylene vinyl acetate. They actually compress it to remove all air bubbles. They also heat it up. The Phylon, as you guys can see, you see the wave right here in the forefoot area. Obviously, it's supposed to act as a wall on the lateral side. They also have it on the medial side. When you drive, you're supposed to actually hit the wall. It's supposed to provide some more lateral and medial support. Also in the heel, as you guys see, it wraps up. Again, same thing. It's supposed to add heel support, prevent your heel from sliding back and forth, which is pretty good. And not to mention, you also have the rubber outsole that wraps up right into the heel, as you guys can see right here. And that's pretty much it for the midsole foam. On the inner of the Phylon midsole, it traditionally carries a zoom unit. It's a full-length zoom unit. If you don't know what a zoom unit is, you can actually go back to one of my tech closets. It's one of my older tech closets. It'll probably look real shitty because it was probably a shitty-ass camera. And I thought being in the dark was cool, talking about zoom units. But this is a full-length zoom unit. They don't usually traditionally use full-length zoom anymore. Nike considers this premium technology nowadays, which is crazy, but it's placed right into the foam, as you guys can see. I'll show you right now. And pretty much zoom, I can't say much about it. It's low profile technology, keeping you closer to the ground. It's Nike's highest energy return technology on top of that. So the more energy you give towards it, it's like pushing off or landing, the more energy you'll get back in return compared to regular foams or Air Max, or you know what I mean? Like, it'll give a higher energy return just off the fact of how it's made. Full length zoom is again a rarity in basketball shoes nowadays. It's very welcomed in the basketball community just because it's an amazing technology. Being lower to the ground gives you better court feel. Other than better court feel, it just feels better on toe off. Like when you're driving, you actually feel a quicker response time with the floor. You know what I mean? Even though it is thin, it provides enough cushioning underfoot where you won't feel the ground. Me personally, Zoom is my favorite cushioning. But yeah, Zoom. So let's move on to the upper now, guys. Moving along to the upper, obviously you guys know the traditional Air Jordan 12 upper. You have the panels on the lateral side, the white panel, which actually provides more support. They call it a RAND, R-A-N-D. The RAND is on the lateral and on the medial, providing extra support for side-to-side motions, keeping your foot in place. All the stitching, as people know it as the rising sun, that's where the inspiration came from. It actually provides a lot of support since they're actually stitching in sections, if that makes sense. The closer to stitching, obviously, you have support in those panels, and each panel has its own kind of zone of support, which is a great idea. Going into the heel actually has a cardboard internal heel counter for added heel support. Again, the stitching and the foam acts as a heel counter. So you don't need the traditional TPU heel counters. Again, back in the days, they didn't really put TPU into shoes. Even though this was a 2003 version, they used cardboard like on the original. The cardboard adds almost the same amount of support as a TPU would, but obviously the TPU, when it heats up, it wouldn't give. You know what I mean? When you're playing ball, your feet heat up, the cardboard obviously is gonna get softer and you lose support. Jordan quality, inspired by the greatest player ever. Obviously you have the 2-3 going down the tongue, on the leather tongue. It's stitched in a way where it's stitched in panels. So it's supposed to mimic the cone of your foot, but even though it doesn't, just because it's not asymmetrical. Jump in on the tongue, you have a traditional lacing system, and then you have 4 metal lace eyelets, just obviously for a look, and it also provides more durable lacing up top, just because it's not a leather where it can stretch out or rip or whatever situation is. On the retros that just came out, I believe they were plastic, and they look real funny. On the lateral and on the medial side, you have these TPU pieces that say Jordan on the lateral and nothing on the medial. They're just there for show. There's no real function behind it. So pretty much that's my review on the Air Jordan 12. I'll put it back together for you guys so you guys can see. You have the Air Jordan 12 here. You have the Zoom unit. You have the Phylon midsole. You have the carbon fiber shank. And then you have the rubber outsole. You actually put the Zoom unit back into the Phylon midsole. Put the upper on top of the Phylon midsole. Zoom unit is right underfoot, providing a more responsive technology, a more responsive court feel kind of situation when the Zoom unit's underneath the foot. You have the carbon shank, which is right underneath the midsole foam, as you guys can see, to provide torsional rigidity, prevent those twisting and turning motions. And then you have the rubber outsole, which puts everything to work. And that's pretty much it, my review on the Air Jordan 12. I don't have pretty much nothing else to say about this shoe. In my opinion, this is a great basketball shoe, just based off the traction pods on the forefoot and the heel being herringbone, the shank, Phylon midsole, the full-length Zoom unit, and the way the upper is constructed. I think it's an amazing ball shoe. Only issue is it's kind of heavy, and that would be because the actual rubber outsole, is kind of thick, no homo. Nike doesn't make outsoles this thick anymore with rubber. They're usually a lot thinner. Rubber costs a lot of money, so they don't do this anymore. It's very rare when they use this much rubber for any shoe. Anyway, just for Kicks 212, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, leave them down below in the comment box. I try to make it as fun as possible, even though when you do reverse engineer videos, it's kind of hard to pause. It's kind of hard to, if I was fucking Roy Hibbert, I'd be getting fucking fined. Like, I'd be playing basketball just to be playing basketball, because I'd just be paying fines. Like, I can't believe he got fined $75,000 for saying no homo. Nigga said LeBron was stretching him out all night, and you can't say no homo? Come on, B. Anyway, just for kicks 212. Holla at y'all later. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe up above. Like the video. Share it. Make sure you share this video. Can you share the video so other people can learn too? And you should watch this on HD, 1080 HD. I know I said it fucked up last time. 1080p HD. Watch it on that joint. And holla at y'all later. Just for kicks 212.